The logo that broke America. Sounds like a ridiculous title. But in 2025, Cracker Barrel changed its logo. And suddenly, one roadside restaurant became a national argument about tradition, politics, nostalgia, and what America thinks it is losing. Because Cracker Barrel was never just a place to eat. It was a carefully built version of old America. Wooden porches, rocking chairs, country stores, family breakfasts, highways, and the feeling that somewhere, somehow, the country had not completely changed. So this video is about how Cracker Barrel became more than a restaurant, why its nostalgia works so well, why the company tried to modernize it, why people reacted so strongly, and why bringing the old logo back still cannot bring back the America behind it. Because the real question is not why people got angry about a logo. The real question is why that logo meant so much in the first place. If you want more stories about the America left behind and the decisions that made it happen, subscribe to Vanished America. Here, we don't just show the story, we follow the money behind it. Cracker Barrel opened in 1969 in Tennessee near the highway, at a time when America was becoming a country of interstates, road trips, suburbs, gas stations, and chain restaurants. But from the beginning, Cracker Barrel did not present itself like a normal chain. It did not try to look futuristic, fast, clean, or modern. It tried to feel old on purpose. That was the whole idea. You would pull off the highway, walk past the wooden porch, see the rocking chairs outside, step through the country store, and before you even reached your table, you were already inside a story. The walls were covered with old tools, vintage signs, farm objects, antique-looking decorations, and pieces of Americana that made the place feel like it had been there long before the interstate. Of course, it was still a business. It was still a chain restaurant. But emotionally, it worked differently from fast food. McDonald's promised speed. Starbucks promised a certain kind of modern lifestyle. Cracker Barrel promised something much more sentimental, the feeling that the old America was still available somewhere, even if only beside an exit ramp. That is what made the brand powerful. People did not go there only because the food was extraordinary. They went because the place felt familiar. It felt like a roadside stop from childhood, a family trip, a Sunday breakfast after church, or a town that maybe never existed exactly the way people remember it, but still felt real enough to miss. Cracker Barrel understood something very deep about America. This country does not just consume products, it consumes versions of itself. And Cracker Barrel sold one of the most comforting versions, an America of front porches, family meals, old country stores, and a slower rhythm of life. The strange thing about Cracker Barrel nostalgia is that it did not only appeal to people who actually grew up in the world it was imitating. A lot of customers did not come from rural Tennessee. They did not grow up shopping in old country stores. Some were suburban families, tourists, retirees, truck drivers, church groups, or people passing through on long drives. But the feeling still worked because Cracker Barrel was not selling exact history. It was selling emotional history. It gave people a version of America that felt understandable. In that version, families still sat down together. The road still meant freedom. Breakfast still felt affordable and ordinary. The country store still felt local, even when it was part of a national chain. The walls were crowded, the food was heavy, the furniture was old-fashioned, and everything seemed to say, "Don't worry, not everything has changed." That message became more powerful as the country around it changed. Small towns lost businesses, main streets got weaker, local diners disappeared. Families became more spread out. Eating out became more expensive. A lot of American life became faster, more digital, more corporate, and more politically tense.
Even restaurants started to feel less like places and more like systems.
Apps, delivery windows, kiosks, subscriptions, rewards programs, optimized menus, and interiors designed to move people in and out. Cracker Barrel stood against that, at least visually. It was cluttered in a world that became minimal. It was slow in a world obsessed with convenience. It looked regional in a country where so many places started looking the same. That is why people attached emotion to it. The brand gave them a small break from the feeling that everything familiar was being replaced. In a way, Cracker Barrel became a museum of ordinary American life. Not a museum of presidents, wars, or monuments, but of smaller things. Breakfast, travel, family, wooden chairs, old signs, candy, toys, and the idea that there was once a common culture everyone could recognize. The problem is that a museum can comfort people, but it can also become a trap. For Cracker Barrel, nostalgia was both its greatest strength and its biggest problem. The old-fashioned image made the chain recognizable, but it also made it vulnerable. If your entire brand is built around looking unchanged, then every update feels dangerous. If you do not modernize, you risk becoming irrelevant. If you do modernize, you risk insulting the people who loved you for staying the same. That is the dilemma Cracker Barrel eventually faced. The company needed younger customers. It needed to refresh stores. It needed to compete in a restaurant world that had changed dramatically. Casual dining was no longer the safe, comfortable category it once was. Younger people were eating differently, spending differently, and discovering restaurants differently. A heavy, old-fashioned roadside chain could easily start to look less like comfort and more like something from another generation. So, from a business perspective, modernization made sense. A cleaner logo, a simpler look, updated interiors, a brand that could feel less dusty and more current. None of that sounds insane in a corporate meeting. Many companies do it. They simplify, flatten, modernize, remove visual clutter, and try to make themselves feel fresh again. But Cracker Barrel was not like most companies. Its clutter was not an accident. Its old-fashioned look was not a weakness that could be cleaned away without consequences. The barrel, the old man, the words "Old Country Store," the porch, the wood, the walls filled with objects, those were not decorative extras. They were the emotional contract. So when the company tried to simplify the image, many customers did not see a normal redesign. They saw a familiar American place being turned into another generic corporation. They saw warmth being replaced by emptiness. They saw history being replaced by branding. And whether that reaction was fair or not, it was predictable. Cracker Barrel had spent decades teaching people that the past was the product. Then it acted surprised when people got angry that the past looked like it was being removed. The backlash around Cracker Barrel was not only about taste. Some people liked the new design. Some hated it. And under normal circumstances, that might have been the end of the story. But America in the 2020s does not treat brands as neutral anymore. Almost every major brand decision can be interpreted as a signal. Who is this company trying to attract? Who is it leaving behind? What values is it expressing? And what version of America does it want to belong to? That is why the Cracker Barrel redesign turned into something bigger than design criticism. For one side, the reaction looked absurd. It was just a logo, just a restaurant, just another company trying to update itself. But for the other side, it felt like one more example of a familiar institution being stripped of its character in the name of modernization. Cracker Barrel was especially sensitive because it represented a very specific image of America. Rural, Southern, old-fashioned, family-oriented, religious adjacent, patriotic without having to say it directly. It was the kind of place where people could imagine grandparents eating breakfast, families stopping after church, travelers buying old candy, and older customers feeling like the world had not completely moved on without them. So when the brand changed, people did not respond like consumers evaluating a logo. They responded like owners defending a memory. Social media amplified it. Commentators turned it into a culture war argument. Politicians noticed. Suddenly, a restaurant chain was no longer a restaurant chain. It was a battlefield over whether old America was being preserved, mocked, erased, or sold back in a weaker form. And that is the uncomfortable part. Cracker Barrel's old image was never pure history. It was always a commercial version of history. The porch was part of the business. The store was part of the business. The nostalgia was part of the business. But people still believed in it because it gave them something emotionally useful. It gave them a place where the past felt stable. The redesign broke the illusion. It reminded people that even this nostalgic world was controlled by corporate decisions, market research, investor pressure, and branding strategy. In other words, the old America they loved was not protected from modern America. It was owned by it. After the backlash, Cracker Barrel stepped back and returned to the old image. On the surface, that looked like a victory for customers. The old man was back. The familiar identity was back. The company had listened. But the deeper problem did not disappear, because the real crisis was never only the logo. The real crisis is that Cracker Barrel represents a version of America that is getting harder to sustain. The affordable road trip, the casual family breakfast, the shared public space, the small-town feeling, the idea that ordinary life can still feel stable and familiar, all of that has become more fragile. You can bring back an old sign, but you cannot bring back the economic and cultural world that made the sign feel natural. That is what makes this story more than a branding mistake. Cracker Barrel can preserve its porch, its rocking chairs, its vintage walls, and its old country store atmosphere. But it cannot force younger generations to feel the same attachment to that world. It cannot make casual dining what it used to be. It cannot make America less divided. It cannot make the past feel less commercialized. And it cannot solve the contradiction at the center of the brand. It has to grow by selling a feeling that depends on not changing. So the logo fight revealed something much larger. Many Americans are not only defending a restaurant, they are defending the memory of a country where normal life seemed easier to understand. A country where breakfast after church, a road trip with the family, a stop beside the highway, or a chair on a wooden porch could represent something steady. Maybe that version of America was always partly a myth. Maybe it was never as simple as the signs on the wall made it look. But myths matter because people use them to explain what they have lost. That is why one restaurant logo caused such a reaction. Not because the design itself was important enough to shake the country, but because Cracker Barrel had become one of the last big commercial symbols of an America people still wanted to believe in. The company brought the logo back, but the fear remained. Because what people were really asking was not, "Why did you change the sign?" They were asking, "Why does everything we recognize keep disappearing?"